All right. Good morning, all. We're lucky enough to have Mr. David Fromm, president of Four Star Hockey. David, pleasure as always. Want to kind of kick it off, your background in sports and your current business?
Yeah, right now we're heavy into training higher end athletes, and we go down to young ages as well. It's Four-Star Hockey, and we're nationwide. We've done some stuff out of continent, but we primarily focus on the North America market, and it's again training hockey players both on and off the ice, and also the mental aspect of the game and what to do when you quit playing the game. So it's a full service camp clinic group with a lot of arms that go out and help in all different ways.
Dave mentioned this is a sports entrepreneurship class. Can you discuss with us our students that are looking to maybe open up a camp or some other type of business in the sports world, the importance of developing a business plan?
Yeah, it's significant. Right now you have tons of people doing one-offs, right? They'll do a weekend camp because they can and they're in a little market. The problem with that is you're not going to maintain any consistency. You're not going to have a theme. Your verbiage, the people that you hire are going to be different. So when we first started out, there was a couple of us that started this program, and we're former players. Some played higher levels than others, and we sat down and we kind of formulated what was best, the camps and clinics and the things that we received as players from our coaching in the past, good and bad, and jotted that down and had a couple different whiteboard meetings on that. Yeah. And then we kind of listed out locally where our strengths were, and then expanded our network out that way. And then we laid out our plan from beginning to end. So for us, it was hockey. So we laid out what our practices would look like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, our off ice, same thing, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And then our interaction with the players, where we do our little conferences, and our interaction with the parents, same thing. So we were all on the same page. Prelude to that, before we did that, we did, sorry, buddy.
That's noise.
Prelude to that, we sat down and we did our our paperwork, things that we weren't comfortable with or had knowledge of to the degree that we should have, as far as financing and different things of that nature, how to file our taxes, how to just incorporate ourselves, and how we wanted to do that. So those things were all part of our business plan. And we had some good mentors that we leaned on. That's one thing I encourage everybody, especially as athletes. We think that we empower ourselves by working out and doing all these things, and we're self-disciplined. And then sometimes it's hard for us to reach out and ask for help or ask for guidance because of our egos or our past. And I think if you can find a good mentor and somebody that's already done, it doesn't matter what business it is. It's just somebody that's done it and put the process together of starting the business from the ground up. I think it's important that you rely on them and lean on them and use those attributes that you have to attack what you love and your passion in your sport, and then combine that with somebody who has that business background.
So you mentioned, again, part of setting up the business, and you kind of touched upon a couple of key points I wanted to delve into. There's 4 things here, but first one, you mentioned insurance. That's kind of the boring part that everyone wants to dive in and run their basketball camps or wherever they're running and just have at it and have fun. But kind of the minutia of dealing with the insurance part, why is that so important to establish that? And then when you're looking at insurance pieces for you, what was important to kind of make sure that you protect yourself as a company standpoint, and then individually as well?
Yeah, we did a limited liability policy with our group, and then each of us went out and got our own independent policy to cover us above and beyond that. The insurance aspect of it is we're in an era now where, to not get off topic, but everybody's looking for the quick fix or the quick buck or whatever. So you hear about people suing all the time. So it's very important that you get your coverage, so that if somebody does happen to get hurt, God forbid, you don't want somebody to do your camp and get seriously hurt, and then you don't have the resources to help them, and then that comes out of your personal because no matter what you do, you can layer yourself as much as you want. There's
Yeah.
going to be somebody that can get to you personally.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you're protected and you're insured so that financial piece and you're conscious as well. You're a good human being is covered. So we found that to be a very huge piece of what we need to do. And in the very beginning, it was one of the last things we thought about. We're just like, oh, we're going to do a camp. We're going to have fun. We're going to bring kids out. We're going to do our best.
Yeah.
So that was where that mentorship really came in. Like, hey, hold on a minute. You got to protect yourself. It's just important. And you know that you feel that everybody is genuine. And you hope that they are. But the reality is we live in a world where anything can happen. So you just might as well take the time, the extra, it costs a little bit, minor to what it could cost you in the long scheme of things in your life.
What about the importance of, maybe having an attorney at kind of on speed dial, just in case, just to look over coverages and stuff like that? Did you guys have an attorney working with you to make sure all your policies and procedures were up to snuff?
Yeah, we do that. We do that every year. We just have an attorney. We do that hourly. We don't have a retainer, but we have somebody that does that, and they look it over, and it's an hourly rate for us.
Gotcha.
Make sure our waivers are up to date. Like we had to adjust our waivers to COVID, which was again something you didn't think about. We did our camp waivers, and he's like, hey, you better add this COVID component to it. And we're like, really? He goes, yeah, really. So it took a little time to redo our waiver, and we had to add a whole deal on COVID. And obviously, if we wrote it, it would have been shredded apart by a real attorney. So we had him do it. But that was something that we would not have pointed out. And again, something beyond an injury, somebody gets COVID at our camp, or they say they do, and they track it back. We're going to be liable for whatever that is.
So covering all bases and then pivoting because nobody expected a COVID to happen. So knowing that as well.
And that was a huge piece for you. Every year, just go get everything re-looked at, everything before your season starts. And if you add things to your camps, make sure you tell your attorneys that, like, hey, we're gonna add a whatever it is, a component, off ice, psychology, whatever. Just make sure that's all included.
And you guys do that, you said annually, correct?
Yep, we do that annually. Gotcha. And if we see something come down the line that is offbeat or something that's going to go way off track of what we're used to doing, or we'll immediately bring that to the attention of our attorney.
Next thing you mentioned were taxes, and that's the part that you kind of forget about. And I tell folks, and we're actually going to have some tax people in here as well. How do you? I mean, there's S corps, LLCs. There's so many different areas. You guys were LLC, correct?
Yep.
So how did you look at the different options and say, all right, this is a good fit for us?
Yeah, we used our mentor, and our mentor said that with the grouping that we have and the people that we are working with, this is the best avenue for you. Tax wise, we leave that up to the professionals. Again, our tax attorney and takes care of all of that for us. So it leaves us out of loop. We don't guess. And again, you circle back, and initially there's a cost to it. And when you're starting a new business, you're like, oh, do we really have to pay that much for that? Well, long term, it is well worth it.
Correct. And that's part of and that's what we're telling folks when you're starting a business. They look at all the income and they're like, hey, we're going to make just a boatload of cash. I'm like, well, there's going to be expenses. But to your point, those expenses, it's not just going to kind of throw out the window. It's giving you that protection of layer of protection, but as well that making sure that maybe if you have to pay quarterly or what about 1099s? Are you giving any, folks to staff that are working a 1099?
No, everybody in our group we work with, we give a piece of the company too. So we'll give a small percentage of the company too.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they're on their own for that. So yes.
Now the next piece, the fun piece, this is where you're kind of seeing the it paying dividends, is the payment piece. But now folks will say, well, I want to open up a golf tournament, a relay race, or a hockey camp. How do I take payments? So for you, how is that deciding, using a swipe card or, how did you guys determine best practices for payments for you?
For our company, we do everything online. So we have an online pay company that works through our website. We don't do anything on site. We used to do like everybody. And some of our guys do, and we're kind of slapping our hands, but like Venmo or Zelle, they'll do that because it's easy and parents do that and everybody's got it. We direct everybody to our website so that we can track every nickel, every dime.
Yeah.
Tax wise, it just makes everything in one place.
Yeah.
So we use a professional company that does that for us.
And obviously there's some expenses on that, or they take a percentage of that.
Small percentage. Yeah.
But well, again, like you had mentioned, well worth it, correct?
Yeah. Long term, if you try to do this on your own and you grow, and this is through hardship of us, 5 or 6 kids to slip through the cracks, 5 or 6 payments. Let's say it's 2 a camp and you do 10 camps and it's $1,000 a camp. Well, that's a significant amount of money that you forgot about or didn't track, or you thought a partner collected, or you thought you were going to collect. And then during the camp, you're out there working and then they disappear and you've lost that income. When you do it online, everything's tracked right there. So you're like, hey, you haven't paid yet. Yeah. And then you have your pad right at registration. Here you go. And we make it kind of a membership. So you got to sign in. We get all their information. They become a member and then they make their payments. So we have their information then from that point forward for emails and things of that nature that, go into the marketing aspect of things.
So the days of checks and cash are gone for camp.
Yeah, they're pretty much, every once in a while you have a one-off where parents, they may come in late or what have you, but you try to avoid that because that's just it's a bunch of extra work.
Yeah. Yep. You had mentioned this as well. The importance of being organized, owning a camp or a sports business.
Yeah.
Talk significant. About that.
And I'm not, I don't come from the world of I guess, engineering of organization. So it took me a while, and being organized doesn't mean you're organized. It just means you were intelligent enough to put people in place to help you stay focused. Yep. So again, if you refer back to taxes, insurance, those type of marketing, those type of things, you put people in charge of that, or you put a process in place in charge of that, it makes you look significantly more organized than you are. And I guess you are organized because you did the right thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to run around and have to do, and again, you learn this the hard way, doing 15 different projects. You're wearing 18 hats, and you're in the grind. Yeah, you can be in the grind, but if you get somebody else to do that professionally for you that you're not good at, you should absolutely take advantage of that. And it allows you to do the things that you love to do. I personally love to be on the rink teaching and being in that group of parents and players and talking and promoting the sport. I don't like to be behind a computer typing out emails and sending out invites and things like that, even though we have to. If we can get somebody else professionally to do that, it makes it so much easier.
Yep. And you hit the nail on the head, is just be honest, just because people try to be all things to everyone. In the long run, you're just going to drown. So just be honest. Say, listen, organization's not my forte, but hire somebody that you're going to trust that's going to be organized. And then that's kind of knowing your skill set of, hey, I'm good on the ice working with the parents. So, and I think
it's a pride thing, is, like you do think you can do it all, but you can't. You just not well anyway.
It's important. And then also talk about how it's important when you're doing a business, Dave, is surrounding yourself with folks with kind of that have that team concept, that have the same passion and drive that you have as well.
Yeah, when you talk about when you're coaching, you want to get like-minded athletes around like-minded athletes. When you're recruiting like-minded parents with like-minded parents, it just creates a cohesiveness as a team. So you take that same philosophy that when you're building your team in the sports world as you build your team in a business world. So you want to get people that are like-minded like you. And you're always gonna agree to disagree on some things. That's just human nature. It's just knowing that whatever your conflict is about what you're doing in the business, everybody there is there for the right reason, and they're all trying to make the business better or the experience better. So it's not a fight when you're with somebody that you trust and you appreciate and you're like-minded. It's just a difference. It's a different approach to get where you both want to get to, and finding that happy medium. So it's very important. If you get somebody who is completely different than you, then you're going to say the sky is blue and they're going to say it's red. And you're never going to get that experience that you want. One, as a person who's in the business, and two, then that will transcend into your camps, your clinics, or whatever business you're doing. And people will feel that tension or that disingenuine feeling that they'll get when you're on the ice with them, or on the field, or on the court.
Dave, we talked a little bit about this, that, just kind of, the pandemic, you had a pivot, and how, just sports in general, youth, college, and professional have changed dramatically. I mean, you and I worked together. Wow, that was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But how is everything changing? And then what are the challenges now you've seen from when you started way back, the challenges of owning your own sports business?
I mean, for us, the challenge is everybody is jumping in and doing it.
Yeah.
So like the beginning of our conversation, everybody's doing a camp, a clinic, and you have so many people chasing around to try to get better. They're trying to do 15 camps, 10 camps. So our biggest battle is the one-offs. Somebody coming in and doing 2 camps, they charge a premium, and then they disappear for 9.5 months, 10 months.
Yep.
And they're not vested in the community, or vested in the athlete, or vested in the culture.
Yeah.
They're just popping in and popping out, and then they disappear.
Yep.
They go on to the next thing, be it hockey. They're doing a hockey camp, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to go do this now. And they're selling medical supplies or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just, and I don't begrudge anybody for it. It just becomes the battle, because people start comparing things. Well, you guys are charging this much money, and I can go do this for this much money. You're correct. You can save $300 by going with this person, or for whatever that number is.
Yeah.
But what is their final intent for your athlete, your family? So our biggest hurdle, and I guess it's not a hurdle, the biggest thing we have is oversaturation in some of the markets that we work in.
Yep. What advice would you give to our students here that are opening any type of sports business, whether it be a camp or a golf tournament, whatever it may be?
Make sure you love what you're doing. If you focus on, I'm going to make a ton of money, and then try to backtrack from that, your rate of failure is going to be pretty high.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to be focused on that final bottom line of how much money am I going to make, versus what kind of experience am I going to give the people that are participating in my camp, clinic, tournament. And your passion will ooze through. If you love what you're doing, people will sign up, people will follow you, people will want to be part of what you're doing. When the people aren't stupid, when they figure out it's just about the money, they start going other directions, or not doing as much with you as they did in the past, and don't tell anybody to do things with you. When you're sincere and you love what you're doing, and that seeps out of you when you're on the ice and you're talking to a parent or talking to a group, they tell other people. I mean, energy breeds energy, be it negative or positive.
Yeah. Other question here, or twofold. If any students have any questions, would you mind if they could reach out to you?
Absolutely, they can reach out to me.
Gotcha. And can you give a plug to your company as well? Some of these students here, involved in the hockey world.
Yeah, we do 4-star hockey. We were fortunate enough over the COVID environment, and that's where we had to get our attorney to draft up a new waiver to work with a bunch of the NHL guys before they went into their playoff bubble. So that was a good thing, and I can talk about that now because it's so far in the past. We love working with the higher end athletes, the committed athletes, and we do traveling camps, traveling clinics, and we do long-term camps, long-term clinics. Just depending on what you want. We do a lot of private small group stuff, and we work from kids that are in the NHL all the way down to your AA, AAA, Pee Wee groups.
Gotcha. Dave, as always, a pleasure, and thanks for taking the time out of your day.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon. Thank you.